All right, hi. Thanks for tuning in for lesson number 29 for English 3 A2C at Shawnee. That rhymed wonderfully. I'm Mr. Brewer, and this is the structure for today. We're going to start off with some mindfulness in class, but that'll be short, and then we're going to talk about the peer review form that is due on Saturday. That'll also be a very short reminder. We're then going to look at an informational lesson that is tied to a project that you may be able to assist us with. Shawnee is going to be working with a group called 15K Degrees, and they're working to provide 15,000, increase the number of degrees in Louisville for the African American community by 15,000 in the next few years. And it's a scholarship program that they could use your help with. And that's a pretty cool opportunity. And then for literature, we're going to be viewing Act 1, Scene 2, and that assignment will be due on the 19th. Act 1, Scene 1's assignment is going to be due this Saturday. So that viewing will take us about half an hour. So that's going to be the bulk of this class. All right, real quick, our old assignments are on the left in yellow. Our upcoming assignments are on the right. The green ones are due this weekend. The ones that have no color are due next weekend. So upcoming this weekend, we have the peer review for essay number 2 that's due. Act 1, Scene 1 questions from last week are due this weekend also. And next Saturday, your final draft for essay number 2 will be tentatively due. You can, of course, turn it in after that, but that is the beginning of the due window. That's when I'll start looking to be grading those. And if you've been working at pace on all of the steps to complete that essay, then you should be ready to turn that in next Saturday. Also, Act 1, Scene 2 is due next Saturday as well on the 19th, and then we go to winter break. Real quick, here's our learning targets for today's lesson. For our writing lesson, we're just going to quickly review what the peer review form looks like and how to complete that and get it turned in this weekend. That's a really quick assignment. It's a 50-point assignment just for a form. And then for literature, we're going to be watching Act 1, Scene 2 of A Raisin in the Sun, and we're going to complete a set of questions on that scene as a group. And this means we can explore character development, setting, and authorial choices that's being made in Act 1, Scene 2. And then our informational lesson today is we're going to learn about a project opportunity that we can add to our resumes. This means we can potentially write copy for 15K, which is a company that helps give out scholarships, and you can actually see that copy that you write. Copy just being a word for like writing that companies use in advertising. You can actually see your copy appear in real life advertisements, and that's a pretty big feather in your hat if you're interested in going into design or business. All right, real quick, our week structure. On Mondays and Tuesdays, the beginning of the week lesson will be posted on Sunday afternoons, and if you check that, you can see what we'll be working on in class on Mondays and Tuesdays. On Wednesdays, my office hours usually run from 11 to 2, so that's that 10 to 12 is kind of incorrect at this point. It's a little bit more, runs a little bit longer into the afternoon than that. And then my lessons on Thursday and Friday will be posted on Wednesday as well. You're watching that right now. And if you're ever out of class, if you're ever away from the internet, but you want to catch up on what the lesson was because you missed the live lesson, you can watch these videos. Our mindfulness in class will be a short video, short chill video, and whenever you see that QR code, that is a link to the document that contains all of the recorded explanations for all of the assignments for the entire year. So if you're trying to go back and work through work that is missing or you're confused about, you can find explanations for every single one of the assignments that we've done in class linked through on that document. All right, so our learning target today is just to kind of talk about the peer review form that's due on Saturday. To complete that peer review form, you need to have a rough draft turned in. So you can't get credit for this assignment if there is no rough draft in Google Classroom. So before you hit submit on this, make sure that you have already hit submit on your essay number 2 rough draft. That's the rough draft that you wrote using the interview of someone who is either in college or who has a career that you're interested in. So this review is someone has looked at your rough draft and they provided you feedback on grammar, understandability, and flow, and a positive feedback as well. So again, if you haven't done your rough draft, do that first. I can't get you credit for this assignment without a rough draft because if nobody's reviewed anything, then you can't get credit for the assignment. That said, this is a super fast assignment to complete as soon as you've done your rough draft, effectively doubling the points you get in Infinite Campus and Google Classroom for your rough draft just by having someone else take a look at it and give you some feedback. The kinds of feedback you're looking for on there are grammar, specifically capitalization issues, spelling or mismatched words like there, or your and your, and basic our periods at the end of each sentences, or commas where they need to go, that kind of thing that other people might be able to give you feedback on, or me if you turned it into your rough draft also. Also, you're asking about understandability and flow, like does the essay make sense when read from beginning to end? Really useful thing to do is have someone read you your essay out loud. That's a good way to do that. And then what did your reader think was neat and what would they like to know more about? That assignment looks like this in the Google Classroom. It's titled Graded Peer Review for essay number 2. And again, you can use another student, a parent or guardian, a friend. You can use my feedback to complete this. However you get feedback is good enough for this assignment. All right, and then just quick reminder, Act 1, Scene 1 questions are due this Saturday. Peer review is due this Saturday also for essay number 2. And then those other 2 assignments are due next Saturday. We're going to switch it up a little bit today and do information before literature because I want to just kind of focus on A Raisin in the Sun for the remainder of the class after we're done. But so here I'm going to talk to you a little bit about a project opportunity that you can add to your resume where you can potentially write copy, which is really neat because that's the legit job that people do in business and design. All right, so we need your help. This is a group that provides scholarship opportunities to African American students every year, but they need help with their branding and online presence. Like legitimately, this isn't just like a made up project for this class. They need some assistance. If you're interested in building your work resume before you graduate from high school, you can write some actual advertisements that will be made public for this group and get your name attached to some real world advertising examples. They will use the advertising copy that you write. They could use your help. If you're interested in going into business or graphic design, this is a really cool opportunity. So you can talk to me or Miss Whitaker or Miss Harris or Mr. McDaniel and let them know that you're interested in pursuing this opportunity. So any of those teachers, if you talk to them, they'll help hook up your work with that group. And just a real quick overview of who that group is. So they're an initiative to actively engage and mobilize Louisville's African American community in support of the 55,000 Degrees Greater Louisville's Education Commitment, which is the goal of improving the number of African Americans with college degrees by 55,000. The 15K degrees seeks to add 15,000 additional post-secondary degrees, meaning college, to Louisville's African American community by 2020. The $15,000, not $15,000, but the 15,000 degrees scholarship is a last dollar grant, not a loan, of up to $1,500 to cover tuition, books, and fees. So that's a grant, and that's not money you have to pay back. You don't have to pay back grants. Grants are just effectively donations that you can then use to cover tuition, books, and fees. Approximately 3 to 5 scholarships will be awarded for the school year, depending on the number of applicants. Although the scholarship's not renewable, students may reapply each year for consideration. So that's 3 to 5 people who are getting $1,500 to cover tuition, books, and fees, who otherwise wouldn't without this group. And that's a lot of money, and those are people whose lives are going to be really positively impacted by that. Here's their problem. They have really old branding. They got really crappy advertisements, and they need your help because they're trying to kind of get it back up off the ground. Things have been really crazy this year, and they need assistance. And what happened was Miss Harris and Mr. McDaniel have been reaching out to work on helping them design that rebranding, and so has Miss Whitaker, and so have I. So like the goal is for you to write that copy because you can then claim that copywriting as part of your portfolio and part of your backpack. And I can't think of a better backpack defense than I wrote this and it got used in actual advertising in the real world by a company, and they saw people sign up for their scholarships, and people were able to go to college because I wrote eye-catching advertisements for this group. So like straight up, like you can both do good things for people and have a cool thing to defend on your backpack and have a really nice thing to add to your resume. So this is like a threefer instead of a twofer. This is pretty solid. I highly recommend taking a look at this if you're interested in designer business. And people who receive this can use the scholarship to pursue a bachelor's or associate's degree. Associate's is usually 2 years, bachelor's is usually 4 years, at one of the following schools: Bellarmine, Indiana IU Southeast, Ivy Tech, JCTC, KSU, Simmons, Spalding, Sullivan, or U of L. So like, there's a lot of different options in this area for college, which is really nice. Louisville's kind of a college town, and yeah, you can pursue any of these, or the people who get the scholarship because of your really good advertising. Additional requirements. If you're interested in this, take a picture of the screen so you kind of know what you need to be completing to pursue it. Otherwise, you can take a picture of the screen to kind of use this to write copy. If you're trying to start thinking about how would I make this more interesting to look at. I mean, right now this is about the most boring looking slide possible. So how could you package this information in a way that makes people interested in pursuing it? All right, so if and this is just more information from them. If you're interested in pursuing this scholarship, if you're a senior or a junior and you're thinking about grant money to help you pay for books and whatnot, because books are crazy expensive in college, uh, you could follow these directions. All right, that's the end of our informational lesson. We're going to go ahead and watch Act 1, Scene 2 of A Raisin in the Sun. The questions attached to that will be due at the end of the week next week. Those questions are a graded assignment. The assignments for A Raisin in the Sun are graded assignments, and they're focused on character development and doing a close reading of the play. Again, our play is based on Harlem, and just gonna kind of keep this poem at the forefront of our mind while we're watching this play. We're watching people wrestle with deferred dreams. We're watching people sag. We're watching people explode. And in almost every scene of this play, you have people either sagging under the weight of dreams being deferred or exploding under the pressure of a dream being deferred. So I think it's just useful to kind of keep this forefront, this poem by Langston Hughes at the front of our minds as we're watching. And in class, we'll be watching Act 1, Scene 2 of Raisin in the Sun, but not in the studio because copyright. While you're watching, you can read along using the PDF text in primary text readings. The film is actually also in Google Classroom under A Raisin in the Sun full film. And this is what the assignment looks like. It's very similar to the previous one. It's a Google form. You'll answer those questions and then hit submit on the form and then also hit submit in Google Classroom. And that's the lesson. Thanks very much for listening, and I hope you have a good afternoon. Just a quick recap on what's upcoming assignments. So it's old assignments. If it's in yellow, it could be counting against you in Google Classroom or Infinite Campus. If it's in green, it's not counting against anybody yet or for anybody yet. Thanks again, and I hope you all have a good afternoon. Bye.